Last week we introduced the concept of a trust and talked a little bit about how they work. Today we need to go a little bit deeper and specifically talk about their application in your financial planning. You'll be glad to know, by the way, that the fly that haunted me in last week's video has been humanely removed from the studio. So let's see how far we get. I think there's going to be another episode in this little mini-series, but let's put 5 minutes on the clock down here. Say a quick thank you to my friends at Seven Investment Management for continuing to sponsor the show, and let's crack on. So the main uses for a trust are in organising death benefits and for doing some estate planning and hence inheritance tax planning very often. So let's talk about death benefits first. So we're talking about proceeds from a life insurance policy, maybe from a pension fund if you die before retirement, stuff like that. Why would you use a trust? Why not just let the money pay out into your estate and let your will sort it out? Well, long-time listeners will know that the reasons for doing this are twofold. I held up two lots of two fingers, that's fourfold. It's only twofold. Firstly, benefits which are held in trust do not form part of your estate, and so they are not subject to the process called probate. Probate is the process where your executors, after you've died, have to add everything up that you own, take off what you owe, and basically do a return to the revenue. Revenue ask for any tax that they're due, and once that's done, they will give you a grant of probate, which is the authority that the executors need to then begin distributing the estate as per the terms of your will. You do have a will, right? That whole process of probate can sometimes take a while, and so what you don't really want is the people who you want to benefit from your life insurance or from your pension fund or whatever. You don't want those people to be waiting for the money. You want it in their hands as quickly as possible so that it can ease the trauma of losing you. Worth mentioning actually that most pension benefits are held in a kind of master trust of their own, so perhaps I shouldn't have used that as an example. Let's carry on talking about life insurance from now on, just to make things easier. So another benefit of placing, say, life insurance in trust is that if that money is instead just paid out to your estate, depending on the numbers, it might be that you end up actually paying inheritance tax on that money, which just seems daft. Why take out a life insurance policy to provide more money for your dependents and then pay a chunk of it away in inheritance tax? That's just bad planning. Many people have life insurance with a benefit of hundreds of thousands of pounds, sometimes more. And so you can very easily exceed the nil rate band, the inheritance tax free limit, and just pay a load of tax that you don't have to. It's just bad planning, and trusts can help fix that. So those are useful benefits: speed of payout and making sure you're not paying unnecessary inheritance tax. But the real benefit of a trust by far is that it enables money to go to who you want and when you want. Now, a will does that as well, but of course a will only comes into force when you're already dead, whereas a trust can be set up while you are alive. So let's think of a couple of examples here. Let's say that you have 3 adult children, but one of them has some special needs. Chances are they will need help from the local authority and the state for the rest of their life. Your other 2 kids are financially independent and they're going to be fine. Now, this is a common enough challenge actually, but what I could do, let's say this was me, I could place a life insurance policy into trust and name my children as beneficiaries. Note, I don't specifically name them, I just say that the proceeds of this trust can be paid at my trustee's discretion to whichever of my children as they see fit. Now, the idea, of course, is that the money will primarily be used to look after your adult child with special needs. But by making it a discretionary trust, that child doesn't have any absolute right to the money. And so it can prevent the inheritance from perhaps affecting their state benefits and any means-tested benefits that they might be getting. So if in the future that child needs something which the local authority either can't or won't provide, then the trust can step in and provide it, but without the complication of messing with benefits. So that's a useful tool for getting the money to the right place at the right time, but using the planning to make sure that it doesn't inadvertently cause any problems. Needless to say, you need to trust your trustees, hence the name. You need to be very clear about your intentions for the trust, and make sure that you pick people who you know can be trusted with the job. It's a big deal to be a trustee. Don't ask it lightly. It's an onerous responsibility. They have responsibility under law and are culpable and liable for the things they do. So it's a big deal. Choose wisely. Another common example of using trusts, usually in a will trust, is where you've got a couple and maybe they're in a second or subsequent relationship and they've each got kids of their own from a previous relationship. Well, let's say this is a man and a woman and he dies first. Well, he will naturally want to look after his surviving partner, but he also wants to look after his children from his first marriage or whatever. And so he can set up a trust in his will whereby his money goes into the trust. His widow, surviving partner, can benefit from the income produced by those investments, and then when she eventually dies, the money passes to his natural children. The trustee's job then is to invest the money in such a way that it produces an income for the surviving partner and it produces some growth for his kids. So that can be a fine line to walk, a tricky balance to maintain. But it's a brilliant way of making sure that what you want to happen with your money actually does happen and provides a legal framework to do so. You know what? I knew we were going to need 3 weeks, so I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching. More on trusts next week. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in next week's 5 Minute Friday.